Everybody, hope you're doing well. Jeff, your executive gardener here. This is a quick update, and it will be quick on my composting worms. So I get a lot of questions about how the composting worms are doing. I've consolidated. I had 4 different growing mechanisms, homes, that I was using to compost worms, and I've consolidated that, and I'll show you what I'm using. I found this to be the most easiest to use, least amount of work to do, and if a lot of people ask me, are composting worms a lot of work? No, they're not, but I'll show you what will make it even less work if you use the things I use, and I'm not getting endorsed by any of the products. I'll just show you what is best for me, most efficient for me to use. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. So let me get behind the camera and show you an update on my composting worms. So certainly this is the least expensive way to compost worms, is just get a big Rubbermaid type bin like this and fill it up with shredded newspaper, shredded paper, and fill it with stuff. So in this bin I have African night crawlers. I'm in the process now, and here's the problem I have with these bins. There's holes at the bottom of this bin to drain the water out, but here's the problem. It gets too moist, way too moist, and so it's out here in the sun. I'm trying to dry the darn thing out, but it's hard to dry it out once it gets too moist. So I'll kind of show you what's going on in here, and so you take a look here, get underneath here. So you'll see it's loaded with worms, tons of composting worms in there. There's a few of them right there that you can see. I mean, look at that, just loaded with them. Nothing but worms in here, and that's all castings I have to get out. But it's still a bit moist, and to get the castings dry out of this bin is a bit hard, and it just takes a lot of time. You got to regulate it too much. So here's what I'm going to do. Once this dries out, I'm going to move it over to what I'll show you here in a second, and it's called the worm in. So let me flip you around here, and if you look at these, this is the worm in. So the worm in is, you can buy it in the market, and it's a pretty cool system, but you'll see I have 2 of them here. You have to actually buy the PVC pipe at the store, but check out Worm In for worm composting online. There's numerous places that sell it. I keep this black cover over top to cut about 50% of the sun. It's in the shade, but even still, it gets pretty hot here in Houston, Texas. And here's what I like about these things. So if you look at it, it's a typical, it's just a, I guess a burlap, some type of a canvas bag, and at the bottom it cinches with a tie, and the composting comes out the bottom, and in the top you have a screen. But here's what's nice, is that there's a screen here and there's a zipper that you can open it up and shut it. And what I like about this is that it keeps the bugs out. It keeps the bugs out, it keeps air circulation, so it doesn't ever really get too hot, too moist or too dry. And you can see I have a bunch of newspaper in there. Under there, there's fruit and tomatoes rotting and so forth that the composting worms can feast on. So all you got to keep doing is loading stuff on top here. The worms do their job, and then you go to, you go to the bottom, and you'll see there's a cinch tie. You take out the castings, and here's one over here as well. One of the things, if you live in a hot environment like Houston or Florida, Southern Cal, you need to make sure you put a little bit of moisture in here on an ongoing basis, otherwise it'll dry out. But this one is full of red wigglers, and this one is partially full of African night crawlers. And I don't blend the two. I don't know if you can or you can't, but that's what I do. When I empty that blue bin I show you, I'm going to fill this up and put the rest of the worms in here, let them do their job. But this by far is called the worm in. They're much easier to handle, low maintenance, keeps the bugs out. I had another bin that just got filled with bugs, and it was just a pain in the neck. But here's what I do. Now, these aren't cheap. These are probably 80 to 100 bucks each just for the bag, and then you got to get the PVC pipe. But if you're serious about worm composting, I'd do it. Each bag, I'm sure, can hold thousands of worms. They're big bags, and it's just easy to do, guys. But I understand it's not affordable. I'm not putting down the Rubbermaid way to do it. If that works for you, do that as well. But this is what I'm going to, the worm in. So I have 2 of them. One will be African night crawlers, one will be red wigglers, and my family of 4 goes through a lot of extra food. We put it in here. They provide us with worm castings, and it really works out well. So The Executive Gardener, I am going with the worm in for all my worms. I'm going to continue to dry out that bin you saw, break it down, and then put all my composting worms in here. In the fall, I should have plenty of castings to start my seedlings again. So again, I told you it'd be a quick video. This is what I'm doing with my worm composting, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I have some other how-to worm composting videos on my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so to the Executive Gardener. We'd love to have you part of the community. Thanks. Make it a great one. Bye.